Today I'll be teaching you how to upgrade and improve your LEGO Star Wars minifigures so that they can be the absolute best they can be. LEGO Star Wars minifigures are fantastic, however recently there have been a couple of issues specifically in the clone department, so I went through and found a bunch of pieces that you can get in order to make these minifigures look their absolute best. First up is the 187th Airborne Trooper, who at first I didn't even realize actually had some cloth printing just like the brand new 501st. It actually turns out that it is all printed on the legs as well as the shoulders, and overall just decreases the figure, I feel like, as a whole. And while it's not super noticeable or hasn't really impacted my love of the figure throughout the last year, as soon as I noticed, I really wanted to give him some actual cloth pieces to decorate him. So I hopped on over to Minifig Capes for You and picked up a couple of pieces. Firstly was this skirt piece in their tan color to put on his legs, and then secondly was the little piece of cloth shoulder armor in black to match the torso. And then I just want to stick his legs off and put all of this stuff together. Now granted, this fabric is pretty thick and does add a little bit of height to the minifigure. However, personally, I just really wanted to have that nice little bit of decoration. I mean, you look at the clones from like the early 2010s and everyone just looked super cool, and I'm not someone who's going to be playing with these clones, so I don't really need that leg movement. They're going to be on display or they're going to be showcased in a mock or something like that, so I would much rather have that little bit of fabric detail than some movement. Alternatively as well, you could use the official Lego pieces, however they tend to be quite expensive, and since I just wanted a nice piece of cloth, I decided to go for the custom route instead. And with just those couple of cloth pieces, he just looks a little bit more interesting and a little bit more put together. Nothing too crazy, there's not a ton of printing, and they're just very basic pieces, but I think it adds a lot to the minifigure personally. Now to go along with him too, I'm going to take the regular 187th, since I did notice the same thing on the shoulder here, so I also grabbed one of those cloth pieces for him and we'll stick it on him just to give it a little bit extra. In a set like the Republic Fighter Tank, where there are quite a lot of minifigures, I'm honestly not surprised that LEGO didn't include any fabric. However, it is a really nice touch. Definitely not one that's super necessary, unlike I feel like a couple of other minifigures, but really takes it a long way. And that then leads us to our next minifigures, which are really the ones that inspired me to even go and buy these cloth pieces, and that is the most recent Specialist 501st Troopers from the 501st Battle Pack. Now these guys, seeing that printing on the soldier really stood out to me like a sore thumb, and I think it is purely because it is more of like a dark blue to black rather than tan, which tended to blend in specifically with the rest of the 187th printing. As well as that, the heavy troopers do have some shoulder printing, so I went and grabbed that same black shoulder cloth for the heavy trooper, and then as for the officer, I actually picked up this blue sort of skirt cape piece instead. Though if you want to take it even a step further, I did actually find these printed blue shoulder cloth armors, which personally is what I'm going to be using for the heavy trooper, just so that it matches and just looks a little bit more interesting. Again, all of these capes are custom and relatively cheap, especially given that some of them do have just a little bit of printing on them, but they add so much to these troopers in my opinion and just make it look so much cooler. I mean, look at this guy. If you're like me and you're really into displaying your minifigures, just simple fixes like this can really take your figures to the next level, or even better if you're really into building Star Wars mocks, it just makes your troopers look a little bit more special, and it just gives them that little bit of extra detail that really makes them look absolutely amazing. Next up is Greedo, and this specific minifigure is from the Master Builder Cantina, and when this set released, it was really unfortunate that they didn't give him arm printing, especially considering it was a Master Builder set, a massive collector's type of set, but understandably there was a lot of minifigures in that set, and I feel like maybe that just ate up too much of the budget. However, Firestar Toys have a range of custom printed arms, so I ended up picking up the Greedo ones just to swap them out and again give him that little bit of extra detailing. If you really want to, you could go the official Lego route instead of the custom one, but they were so much cheaper, and the print quality as well is really good on them, and that's personally why I decided to go with the custom version. Luckily, since he's not really an old minifigure, I didn't have to worry too much about the torso cracking, and it was really all good to swap out his arms, and again, it just adds that tiny little bit extra, makes him look so much cooler and much more, I guess, of a collector's minifigure as well, especially given the fact that he came in such a beautiful giant Mos Eisley Cantina. Next up is General Grievous, and much like Greedo, there are sort of two ways that you could go about this. You could go about it the official Lego way and get this really expensive General Grievous cape, or you can go back onto capesforminifigs.com and pick up their custom custom one, which is exactly what I did. And this one also is specifically built for the newer version of General Grievous. On their site, there was options for both, but personally, the only General Grievous minifigure I have is the newest one. So I picked up this cape in order to add it to it, just so that I had the option of having him with the cape, as well as having him displayed in his authentic Lego form. Now, since this cape is quite thick and General Grievous isn't exactly a regular minifigure, you are probably better off like applying some heat, using a hairdryer or a hair straightener in order to properly mold this cape onto Grievous's body, since it does sort of stick out just a little tiny bit, though personally I just love having him with the cape in general, that I don't really mind. I mean, too, you could take off his arms and it would improve it significantly if it just sort of sits like this, but you can see what I mean, where it just kind of sticks up a little bit and just needs to be sort of molded. The cape design looks absolutely incredible, and again, if you're building a mock with Grievous, this is going to add a lot to your build and just makes him look extra cool, but also gives you the option of how you want him to look, which in my opinion is a really cool and awesome thing to have. Next up is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, this guy is incredibly expensive, but he also came in a super cheap set, so I'm kind of not surprised that he looks the way he does. That being said, if we don't get a Grand Admiral Thrawn in an upcoming Ahsoka set, one thing you can do in order to improve this minifigure, which this idea is really not that original or creative or unique in any way, but it is take the dual molded white and black legs. I personally got these off the Build a Minifigure stand. I saw that they had a ton of them and I just knew I had to pick them up for Thrawn. It is just one of those very basic, very simple minifigure upgrades that you can do for super cheap. I mean, I say super cheap, if you already have the Thrawn minifigure, it will be super cheap. A ton of people do this on their custom Thrawn minifigures, and if Lego don't do this on an upcoming Thrawn, I will genuinely be surprised, just considering how simple and easy it is, and the fact that they are already in mass production from them being in the BAM towers. Next up, we have Clone Wars Bo-Katan, and I mean, one thing that you can instantly do in order to make her better is just get rid of this old ginger hairpiece that she came with and swap it out to the new one that's coming out in the Mandalorian set. Personally, that is something that I will be doing. I want to try and get multiples of those Bo-Katan hairs so I can have it go on the Clone Wars version as well. But the upgrade we're actually going to talk about today instead is give her some arm printing. While I was looking on Firestar Toys, I also found these Bo-Katan printed arms, which certainly look different from the newer Lego ones, and also I just think suit the Clone Wars version of her a lot better. So just like Rita, I'm gonna pop off her arms and just do a quick little swap over just to give her that little bit extra detailing and make her look so much cooler. Again, if you didn't want to go the custom route, you could probably take the ones off the brand new minifigure that will be coming out. However, her armor is slightly different, not that much that I don't think it would incredibly matter that badly. However, I was placing this order and these arms looked super cool. I just had to pick some up in order to make our girl Bo-Katan just look that much better and that much more detailed, especially given how beautiful and detailed a lot of the newer Mandalorian minifigs are. I had to give her the same treatment. I mean, she's Bo-Katan after all. And then lastly, we have the Bad Batch, which just like majority of the other minifigures featured in this episode, I will be swapping out their arms just to give them a little bit more arm printing. However, if you didn't watch the last Star Wars version of this series, I also made one slight upgrade to Hunter, and that was giving him that black Loki hair just to make him look so much better. That hairpiece actually looks like his mullet rather than that weird Prince of Persia bob type of thing. So if you haven't done that, I would highly recommend it, especially given how much more popular this hairpiece has become recently. But now that we've done that, it is time to upgrade all of the Bad Batch minifigures. And again, these custom arms were from Firestar Toys. It came in a 5-pack, which made it considerably cheaper and contained printed arms to upgrade all of the Bad Batch members instead of just Echo having his one singular printed arm. Now granted, these minifigures are absolutely fantastic and this really is not necessary. However, it is just one of those things that I saw an option for and I was like, you know what, I've got to go and take it. Now as a whole, the Bad Batch minifigures are incredibly detailed, and just adding this last little bit of arm printing honestly just makes them feel like a CMF at this point. They are so well done, and this really just adds that last little bit to make them absolutely perfect, and really I don't think you can get too much better than this. Now with the Bad Batch arms in particular, it is interesting to note that there is an extra printed arm for Echo if you really want to swap it out. Personally, I just left on the official Lego one, but if you want to make it technically match just a little bit better, you can absolutely go and do that, and it is included in that 5-pack. And now the Bad Batch look the best that I can imagine they will ever be. These guys look fantastic. So there are some quick and easy ways in order to make your LEGO Star Wars minifigures just look their absolute best. At the end of the day, none of these are entirely necessary and are all optional, but in my opinion, really improve these minifigures a ton. They just look absolutely fantastic, and just that little bit of extra detail goes a long way. I'll leave links to the places I got the custom parts from in the description down below, just in case you want to do these upgrades for yourself. And if you do, please tag me in them. I would absolutely love to see them. Let me know what minifigures you guys think I should upgrade next in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you again so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.